What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Rhonda on the Rocks Podcast Season 2. I am so happy to be here and happy to have all of you listeners back. Today, I'm super excited because I have two amazing people. These are my personal friends. You know them from Instagram, you know them from TikTok, you know them from YouTube and everywhere else, but I know them from the Windy City. I would like to welcome the Wallens, Amber and Ben. Welcome to the show, you guys.
Thank you for having us here.
Yes, we barely want to have each other. So we're so grateful that others would like to have us.
Amber, you please. You got me laughing already.
I don't even like him for real. We just have to be here.
You were literally sobbing that I wasn't touching you enough a few nights ago.
I was.
You were like, you're not hugging me enough, you're not kissing me enough. She's so fake. She's obsessed with me. It's like, I do love her, but she's so porcupine-ish. And then she says shit like that. And I'm like, well, you wonder why I don't give you hugs every day. Because she's so focused on working, you know?
Yeah. I mean, that's what stars do. That's what stars do. The stars have to do the work.
Rhonda, I shouldn't have to beg to be touched. Hold a titty every now and then. You know what I'm saying?
I like holding her titties. They're like great. And now that you're pregnant, they're getting bigger.
They're
and
very full.
Like awesome. I love pregnant porn and pregnant titties.
Yes. And then there's people like me who no one's holding my titties ever, except for me in the shower.
Those titties get cold at night. Titties get cold at night, right?
Yes, they do. They absolutely do. So first question for you guys. What are you having on the rocks tonight?
All right. So we got this like Trader Joe's watermelon. This is non-alcoholic cocktail for Amber. And then I've been mixing it with some control, and we got some triple sec. And so I'm just filling this up. I did I'm training for the LA Marathon. So
we see.
So I need to stay hydrated.
Ben, the bartender over there. Well, I am drinking.
Yeah, what are you drinking?
Wine. I'm drinking red wine in my very own Rhonda on the Rocks glass.
Oh, we love that. You got to give me one. I'm coming to Chicago soon, so I would love to drink out of you got a mug or something I can fly back with?
I will get you one.
Wait. And what kind of red wine though?
I don't know. It was on clearance at my local grocer. It's called Sweet Lolly Wine. So if you're out there and want to sponsor the Rhonda on the Rocks podcast, as you can see, you know, I've been making my
it's sweet red wine. I like that. Because, I don't really like red wine too much because it's typically so bitter. But if it's sweet and chilled, I like a chilled wine myself when I was drinking.
A muscadine, like red wine you'll drink. Yeah.
I'll do that. Yeah.
Yeah, I do like a sweet red wine, but I prefer like a sangria. First of all, I prefer liquor, hard fucking alcohol. I just didn't have any available today. So it was Sweet Lolly and me for the pod.
I love it. I prefer hard liquor.
As hard as it comes. Solid as a motherfucking rock.
I like my liquor like I like my life. Hard.
It's hard. Tough as nails. All right, let's jump into the first segment, which is called The Weekend Rundown. So in this segment, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my experience this past weekend. And if you guys did anything exciting or fun over your weekend, feel free to share. So I went to a Bayou Classic day party. So the Bayou Classic happens in New Orleans every year after Thanksgiving. But here in Chicago, they had like this huge day party. It was like all of the HBCU alum, all the Greeks, like a big ass NPHC party, if you will.
Love that. Yes.
And so it was really fun. Like the music was good. You guys know where Joe's, have you ever been to Joe's on Weed Street here in Chicago?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
It was there.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So it was like packed out. The food was great. Drinks were flowing, all of that good stuff. So as I'm, perusing through the party, I see this gentleman that his company partners with the company that I work for security. And so I see him, I'm like, okay, what's up? Hey, how you doing? And he's like, oh, you want a drink? I'm like, great. So he's buying drinks and all of that. And, I go in for like a hey hug, and it's like an embrace, like a,
in the low
never
back.
gonna let you go. And I was like,
well, you do have someone to hold your titties.
I don't though, because
so he went for a low back hug.
Correct.
Okay.
And it was very much like a romance novel. And I was like, what are you doing? And so he buys a drink and we're talking, and it's like all of this like arm around the neck, like getting close. And I'm like, I am drunk, but I am not imagining this. Because my friend that was with me was even like, you said y'all work together? And I'm like, something like that.
About working together.
I see.
So I don't know. It was just very odd because I've only seen him in mostly professional spaces. And so
have you ever thought about him in that way?
Say that again.
Have you ever thought about him in this way that you're like, oh, I'm kind of serious?
He's never like just popped up when you're masturbating. You're like, nope. And then like let that,
go. Somebody else that works for this company has, but not him. Never him.
Yeah. So he's like a stepping stone.
Yeah. So it kind of caught me off guard because I'm like, I don't know. It just caught me off guard. But nevertheless, he got some feels, I got some drinks, and I just let bygones be bygones. And hopefully when I see him again, it's not like awkward. What'd you say?
Mutual, transactional, a good time.
Listen, I love a ships passing in the night, and we, do what we need to do and then just keep passing. Mm-hmm.
At the end of the night, did he try to, well, it was a day party situation, right?
Yeah, but it was like from noon to 10 p.m. So it was literally the entire day.
Did he say like, well, what are we doing after this? Did he try to?
He did ask me, because there was another big party in Chicago that was having an after party. And he asked me, was I going to that? And I was like, I need to go home. Mm-hmm. I am very drunk and I live like 45 minutes from there. So I was like, first of all, I need to sit down and hydrate, and then I need to make my way home. So that was that. I ain't got no like side texts or nothing after. And I'm like, I wonder, does he even remember? Because everybody was drunk. So I'm like, I wonder, does he even remember? I'm also never going to bring it up, but.
Right. Excellent. And don't bring it up, because then he'll be like, you don't remember that night I was buying you all them drinks? Sure don't. Guess we'll have to remove it.
Like who? Who was buying who drinks? Me? I was there?
Exactly.
Did you guys do anything fun or exciting over the weekend? Anything crazy?
I did. Amber didn't want to be part of it, unfortunately. But I went to a science fiction and fantasy convention, the local one here in LA.
Okay.
And it's always held on Thanksgiving. And part of the reason it's held on Thanksgiving is that this kind of genre attracts a bunch of weirdos. And they have often been alienated from their family just for being, just neurodivergent or just really into different things. And so they always have it on Thanksgiving because of that. It was a really beautiful time. I got to hang out with writers that I'm fans of. And apparently I got to like learn about some drama in the whole science fiction LA scene.
Not drama.
Yeah, there's drama whenever we get together. And there's just been, basically the drama was that I was put on a panel with a couple that the woman on the panel, I found out she's a little porcupine-ish, and there are certain people who did not like her. And this panel that I was on, they kept on trying to have this panel for years and years. And one of the former organizers refused to let them be on this panel because she had beef with them. And finally they got their panel. So she was really upset that they were able to create their panel. For those who don't know, these panels are basically people come together and they argue over like whether, Picard, who's a Star Trek captain, is better than Captain Kirk, right? This can get into yelling matches, right? Or maybe the best way, should we colonize Mars first or should we colonize the moon first, right? These are really intense conversations. People get really nerdy about this stuff, very particular. And so that was some drama as well. I had a great time. You know,
Okay.
I'm also like you, Rhonda, where there are parties afterwards, and you go to these parties and no music is playing. Everyone's sort of just awkwardly standing, like people are walking in with their lightsabers. And I'm like the funniest person in this room. I would be on a panel and someone came up to me and was like, we've been having this Star Wars versus Star Trek panel for years. And this was the funniest panel ever because I moderated it.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I'm making a choice. So I'm like being like Star Wars fans are, immature, like little pussies. You know what I mean? I'm just like trying to create controversy. And I'm also like being funny, and I introduce myself like I'm a comedian. This is what I do, and I'm like I'm very caring, and I ask people questions, and I let people talk to me way too long. I didn't tell you this. I just end up. I'm a flirt. I'm a natural flirt, so I end up flirting with some people, and they're like, do you have anybody like older, like in the 55 range, who's as cute as you? This one woman asked me.
Because that was the median age at the convention.
I was the youngest person there by like 30 years.
Oh my God. I'm so sorry.
So Rhonda, when he led with Amber didn't want to come.
No, it was her. No, I did connect with some people my age, and it was really fun. I don't know if you're familiar with Tananarive Due. She is a horror writer. She was so when Jordan Peele came out with Get Out, he went to a college classroom and he talks about this and he like surprised the kids. But that was Tananarive Due's classroom. Like she is really close with Jordan Peele. I actually found some like sad news that I actually can't publicly share. But like anyway, but like I got to meet her husband, Stephen Barnes, and we just had a really good conversation. And I'm hanging out, I'm having a good time. I got a Picard, Patrick Stewart, who is just a very great actor. I have a signed picture of him.
Okay.
So I want to put it above our door, above our bed. So when, I can like look at Amber and look at Patrick Stewart when we're fucking. So it's like, this is. Look at Patrick Stewart. He is
I'm going to have to look him up at this point. I'm going to put a picture of Patrick Stewart in the show notes. I'll put a link in the show notes so that everyone can see Patrick Stewart. Because obviously,
white people can look sexy and be bald as well, right? That's what Patrick Stewart has given my people.
Oh, well, y'all needed something. A win is a win.
A win is a win. Yeah. So I think Ben is forgetting now that we have a child. We have a 2-year-old and we have a child on the way. Okay. So if he has a convention coming up, I would just be running around our child at that convention, right? Because this was not an adult. This was an adult setting.
Yes.
I mean, I saw like 2 babies, to be fair.
But those people probably came from out of town. So when you're in your hometown, I was like, why would I pack up all of my items here?
There was a pool.
Go to the hotel.
I had Hilton points. You could have stayed at the hotel for free.
I'm aware. It's not about the cost. It's about packing how many toys, lunches, things would I have to pack? Cheese. She's addicted to cheese. How many things would I have had to pack for one night stay at a hotel and you're not even going to be in the room? So I might as well be in the comfort of my own home. That is why I opted out, Rhonda. And I want him to enjoy his weekend, which it sounds like he did. But what do I get? What do I get for watching your child so that you could go flirt with 55-year-old women?
You can't even get touched as much as you want to, obviously.
I feel bad. I'm going to massage her neck right now. I did rub your feet. I've been trying to like give you more massages and just, it's just, I did. It was sort of hard because I did it this weekend. And then the last weekend I was in Philly running a marathon, hanging out with friends. And so I think weekend after this, we sort of had a convergence where Amber was like, what the fuck, dude? Like, you don't give a fuck about me. And I was like,
your hot girl summer shit, then it's winter now.
Yes. Well, I don't mind that Ben has to do getaways. Like, I'm gonna be in Portland, Chicago next week. I do need some time for me on the calendar.
I do.
And I'm sure we're gonna get to some love segment energy, but like I think it's really difficult when you've been together as long as we've been and when you have kids to just really craft out that time. And I'm trying to teach Ben that like you inviting me to do stuff with the baby is not quality time with me.
Right. True. I can see that.
Well, he'll be like, I invited you to the zoo. I'm like, to the zoo with Wow. And we're going for her.
Yes.
Which I love to do, but that's not quality time between you and I.
Okay. Okay. All right, y'all. So thank you for sharing, Ben. I'm so glad that you had a great time at your convention. Amber, I'm glad that you did not go because
Me too.
All right. The next segment is called Love Bites.
I'm mad. I have to go to work. I have to earn a living. I'd rather have a private income and get laid well and often.
And so in this segment, I'm just going to tell you guys a little bit about what's going on with me in my love life. And I would just love to hear your feedback, your opinion as my friends, first and foremost, but also as people who are married and obviously in love. If the listeners cannot tell, you're in love.
We do love each other.
I know.
Very much.
All right.
So I have been talking to this guy for about, I would say like 2 months now. It's moved relatively fast. I really, really like him. He really, really likes me. We actually are going on another date tonight, which I'm super excited about. He like checks many of the boxes that I have, which I had kind of gotten away from the whole like list thing. But when I met him, it was like, oh, well, you've obviously somehow seen my list because you're like matching up to everything. So of course we like exchange social medias, which I'm not always like super quick to do. But with him, it was like, let's just see. So I'm going through his Instagram, and of course I'm going all the way back from when King had a dream.
I have a dream.
I want to see what the fuck you've been doing.
That's really
I want to know a little bit more about you. And so I get to like this past summer, and there's some pictures of him and his like frat brothers. It's like a collage of pictures of the day, like things that he did that day. So it's like him and his frat brothers and, whatever. And then there's this picture of him and a woman. And so I'm like, well, who is this? And he's like, oh, that's my ex. Okay. And y'all broke up over the summer. So why do you still have her picture on your Instagram? And his Instagram is public. So it's not like only your friends can see. It's if I tag you and my friends click on you and they do the same thing that I did, they're going to see this hoe. I mean, this is
woman. Is she far back, like you said, where King is at?
No. It was like right, like this past summer, like August 2024. And so
how often does he post? Just to give me, like, how many scrolls would they have to take to find her?
1, 2.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe 2 scrolls, maybe.
Because he doesn't post that much.
Correct.
Okay. I'm a social media master, so I just need all the facts of the case. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you talked
him about it.
Talked him.
Yeah, I asked him about it, and I was just like, I don't understand like why I don't have any pictures of my ex on my social media. Anytime anything pops up of an ex, I delete it because no, ma'am. Even if it's a status of how much I loved him at that time, delete. This is not important. It never existed, whatever. And so I asked him about it and he was like, well, it's just a picture. Like it was a part of that day. That was a really good day for me. And I was just like, you've had better days. Like that wasn't the best day of your life. Like,
oh, he's fighting for it.
I don't know if I'm tripping, if I'm overreacting, but that picture being on his social media bothers me, especially if you're like trying to be in an actual relationship with me. Like, why you still got this picture up here? I don't know. What do you guys think?
So, Rhonda, you have a habit of deleting experiences from your life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like exes, except that is impossible for us to do as humans, right? For Like, you cannot do that. This experience with your ex, whether you like it or not, will shape your future relationships with others. And I think when we delete that, right, on social media, it almost becomes a metaphor of actually not dealing with that. And I think for me, all my experience, especially if I really love someone, I want to hear all of their life. I want to hear about their exes. I want to hear it because that will actually inform how they respond to me, right? And a perfect example to this is if Amber were to delete all her exes from her life, there are certain triggers that I would not have context for. Perfect example for this is that Amber is pretty sensitive about cooking, doesn't really like to cook. And she told me the story once where one of her exes, she made these brownies and he ended up taking the brownies. They were like messed up and very hard. And he ends up very cruelly, doing it to be funny, like throws them out the window, right? Because they were messed up. And that really, really hurt Amber. Yeah. And so I know there's a sensitivity around that. And because she told me that story involving her ex, that makes me more sensitive. Okay. Now, as far as social media, I think for me, social media, I think it's important social media is for me a way of curating my life to remember, like, yeah, I did have this ex at one point. I don't delete any pictures from my ex all through Facebook. I'm married. I got a kid, one on the way. I don't delete anything. For me, that becomes a metaphor of me deleting something from my life and pretending that it didn't affect me, when in reality, it 100% did. And for me, it becomes a form of historical significance, right? I don't want to delete my history because it maybe the memories of it don't feel great. So that's so Rhonda, I think you're crazy for wanting I think you need to work through that jealousy. I think it's understandable why you feel that way. I think it's unreasonable for you to want to especially if he associates like positive memories with that. I think that's totally fine because this person in his life, this ex, has shaped him. And for me, I would just inquire, be like, what was that relationship like? Why did you guys break up? I think because you would end up hearing stories and history that could actually, develop your relationship with him.
Okay. Thank you, Ben. Like, I just wanted to lay back, like, and what else? Like, I'm on the couch. Okay. Thank you, respectfully.
I knew he would give it to you, no chaser.
Yes.
Now you got to do the same thing for me now.
Yeah.
I feel like I knew you were going to say this. I would have to say it, as eloquent as Ben put that, Ben doesn't really have to. There might be one picture of me with like a girl I used to talk to on my page. But like it is hard because we like when we have a relationship and it ends, we want to pretend like it never happened, and we want to like scrub them from our gram because our Instagram or whatever this social media platform is presents who we are. Like here's who I am. But I also, because I work online, Instagram for me is like a resume.
Yeah.
And it's okay if I show former job history on that resume. I would just be more concerned and just ask him like, hey, like, I'm not trying to get in your business. And I know that we've only been talking for 2 months, but I think I see a girl on your page. Like, did you and this girl used to date? Cool. Are y'all still in contact? And like, I'm sure you asked him like, were y'all still in contact? What did he say to that?
He said they're still like friends. It's more like just social media friends. And so of course my like PTSD brain was like, so you don't want her to know that you deleted the picture because that's going to cause some type of rift between y'all. But if y'all are broken up, I realize now after this conversation that maybe I did go a little far. But initially for me, it was just like, why is this here? Like, this is over. Like, and it's not like I said, it's not like deeply buried down way back when, because he does not post a lot. So it's very like, it's there. Like, I saw it immediately almost. So I
feel like if he's not using his Instagram as a way to fully sort of express who he is, because I'm in the world of posting like 2 to 3 reels a day. you know, and I recognize most people don't do that. So I almost can't really judge them based off of what they're like. If on your Instagram, you post once a month, but on every date you're great and you're opening the door and you're complimenting me and we're vibing, like I can't let these two represent, like the representation of this affect the person that you've been in person. So I personally wouldn't worry about it, especially if he's been A-okay. And if he's given me no reason to worry about it, I wouldn't be pressed about it, to be honest with you.
That's true. I mean, I think that he is great. I'm a little nervous because like all of my friends are going to meet him on my birthday. And so my friends don't even know about him. And when this episode comes out, everyone will know about him. But I've intentionally not shared. I have two friends that know like that I'm even talking to someone right now. Now 4 friends because you guys know. But I like wanted to just keep it to myself because I didn't want to jinx it or ruin it. I don't know. Like, I know that's like super superstitious. However, like sometimes I feel like when we start talking too much too soon, it just messes things up. And so, but no, I really do like him. And I think that was the only thing that I could really say was like, ugh, like, what's this about? Yeah. And now, like, after talking to you guys, I can see like it's maybe a little immature, but in full transparency, like because of past relationships and experiences and things like that, like being mentioned, it like triggered me.
Don't say it's not immature, Rhonda. It's not immature. I think when I heard you say that, for me, I immediately thought like there's a reason you do this, right? There's a reason you feel this way, and immaturity has nothing to do with this. Look, what I'm hearing is that this is a form of, not to get like super real, this is an expression of like some trauma, right? A trigger for you. And it's not, and experiencing trauma doesn't make you immature, right? Yeah. Like at all. Like I would completely remove that term, that word from that, because I think that's demeaning, and I don't think that at all of you, and especially this experience. For me, this is actually a result of what other people have done, right? And for me, that's where this could be an opportunity for you to actually share with him. Be like, hey, like this, and maybe you did already, but like I feel this kind of way for you posting because this is what I do in my life. Right. You know, I delete people from my page because I don't want to have any association with them. Yeah. And actually that might be healthy. For some people that you might need to do that. For some people you do need to delete from your life. Right. You want to delete any history of them because you don't want to look back and see, because that picture could trigger, you know, whatever, right? We don't have to go into details, but I think that is not immature. What your habit of deleting people might be a way of protecting yourself because you went through this trauma. And I think like maybe you just don't even want to be like have that, triggered in your mind.
For sure.
Yeah. For sure. I think it's interesting. This is the last thing I'll say. Growing up, we all handled breakups secretly, low key. I mean, because if we're like high school or middle school or maybe even college as well, like I could go home, rip up all the letters that this guy ever wrote me. My parents, who I obviously never introduced him to, never have to know. Nobody ever has to know. And in the age of social media, and now that we're adults, we don't know what to do when we've broken up with somebody. So all we can do is delete text messages and scrub you from our Instagram. That is the digital response. But when I think about it, I only did all of those things when it was a bad breakup, when things did end poorly. Whereas like I dated a guy in college who it just, it's like, oh, it's no bad blood. I'm moving on with my life. You're moving on with your life. Like, I wish you well. Like that's somebody's later who I wouldn't have broken up. So I could totally see how he's like, yeah, but I didn't have this like crash landing ending with this girl. Like she's still cool. We just don't talk anymore. Versus your last breakup might have been like, cut the cameras. I'm done.
Honey, the police were here in my home.
But I feel like if he's not done anything else to mess up the
said
flow.
The police were in your home?
Correct.
Okay. I feel like you might have, I feel like I've heard this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So it's
I'm remembering now. I was like, yes. Okay.
So if he's not giving you like it almost is like if he's been great so far, he deserves a clean slate. Like
True.
he kind of deserves like, wow, I haven't like actively done anything to mess this up, but something from like this summer and I barely post. I would maybe talk to him and be like, you know what? I'm gonna sit with my feelings about this, but we gonna let this go.
You know, I'm thinking like, have you ever had a healthy breakup where you like just
No, I haven't.
So that's
it was the pause. I'm not laughing at the response. I'm laughing at
this is actually good because I think it would be really interesting for you, Rhonda, to like just maybe investigate like what a healthy breakup looks like. And for me, I remember I had a mentor when I was teaching, and this mentor told me, he's like, I broke up with my girlfriend because, they were very seriously dating and they thought about marriage, and that she didn't want to have kids and I wanted to have kids, right? And they're like I need, and he's like, I needed to end this, and they parted ways. It was like amicably, but that was the reason, right? And I think they could run into each other on the street and be like, hello, how are you? And legitimately say that. I could do that with, I've had maybe like 3 like serious exes. And two of them, I could be like, I'm legitimately like curious how you are doing. And the third one, I'd be like, I don't really want to talk to you. Like, you're okay.
Ben's met one of my exes before.
Like, yeah. We went and got drinks.
Yeah, he was in Chicago for like a weekend and he was like, hey, I'm in Chicago if you want to like hang out.
At the Jolly Pumpkin.
Yeah. And I was like, I'd love you to meet the guy I'm dating now. Like, let's go have a drink. And it was great. Like,
so like,
yeah. You're not. You're like,
I think if all of my serious relationships had not ended so poorly, like I'm open to stuff like that, right? Like I don't mind things like that, but the gentlemen that I have been in relationship with were infidels. So like, no, I don't ever want to see you again. I don't want to talk to you again. You made my life really, really hard. And so, this guy is really great. If we decide to break up, I think we could still be friends because he's just that cool. You know what I'm saying? So I could see something like, hopefully not, fingers crossed, legs crossed.
Oh my gosh, that is just like a theme. It's like date a guy who you could have a good breakup with, potentially.
That's wow. Yeah.
If you think about it, if you're like, if something went crazy with this person, I know I wouldn't be in fear of my life or having to call in a mediator or something like that. Like that's which is
put that in the title of this episode because I feel like that's like that's actually a really good way to look at dating. Like I want to date someone who we could have a clean breakup. We could still be mature adults and move on with our life and not feel like
and maybe not even be friends. But like if we run into each other at another like bayou party, right? And be like, yo, what's up?
That's a good first date question. Be like, what is your relationship with all of your exes?
That's not a good first date. Are you fucking insane?
Well, no, listen. Did you listen? Okay. Not only are you talking cutting me off, you coughing cutting me off. Hold on.
I'm sorry.
I'm saying if you are on a first date with someone and you if you're trying to skip the small talk, you can easily ask, I could have easily asked you, and I'm sure I did at some point, what is your current relationship with like all of your exes? Did it end really poorly? Are y'all still cool? Like, I would love to hear. And that would almost tell me what I needed to know. Like if that I had 3 exes that I could still like have a beer with to this day. I wish them well. It just didn't work out. And I have one who, she's a little extra. I think that would be a good bar for me to see how it goes. But in my mind, I'm like, if you were sharing with me, like, nope, all of them are bitches. All of them ended horribly. Yeah. All of them are whatever. I would be like,
say more.
I would probably keep that in the back of my mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well,
yeah. There's a common denominator here in all of these like poor relationships. And I am the common denominator in the ones that I have had. But I do think that is right. That is different.
That's different.
But no, I do think that is a good question to ask in a roundabout way, like maybe use Chat GPT to figure out a more eloquent way of asking.
Yeah,
like,
no, you would have to like work up to that.
I got there.
I think it would like the conversation would be like, oh, like can people stay friends with their exes? Like I think you would like, sort of like, well, yeah, maybe. I think you could sort of get to that. Yes, you gotta agree. I'm sorry, I spoke too soon. I should have interrupted you.
Can I ask you this, Rhonda?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
If you would have asked your last horrible breakup, and I'm sorry about that. If you would have asked him about the relationship with his ex right before you, knowing what you know now, do you think he would have, like, what do you think his answer would have been? Like, do you think that answer would have told you some information?
Yes and no. So I'm actually still, this is crazy, still really cool with my most recent ex's ex, like his kid's mother. Like her and I are still like cool. And I don't like ever want to see him again in life, but her and I are still cool. But after talking to her, like after we were done, a lot of the things that he said about her and their relationship was not true.
I see. Yeah.
Like he painted this picture of her, and which actually made me like very apprehensive to know her or to talk to her or anything like that. And the only reason why I did is because their kids would be like around over my house, and I wanted her, I'm an educator, so I don't play that. Yeah. Like I want to know your mama. Who is your mama? Yeah. Like me and your mama got to talk.
Absolutely.
But
yeah, you're very mature.
Yeah, after like he and I weren't like together anymore. And kind of like a little bit before that, her and I would talk, but she would never speak bad about him. She never talked about their relationship to me, which I appreciate, right? Like she was like, fuck around and find out.
I'll let this ride out. I'll let this go out. Yeah.
Like, fuck around and find out. And not in a like, girl, you on your own type of way, but their relationship, their youngest is like 17. So they hadn't been together in a number of years. And people change. So it wasn't like they were dating 2 years ago and she like, yeah, this is the same nigga that that I was with. No. So I think she gave him, which I think is super mature, and I'm very grateful to her for that. She gave him like grace. Like, okay.
He probably slipped new. She's like, how you gonna mess this up, Joe?
Yeah. And after, like I said, after we broke up, and again, she never like talked bad about him, so to speak, but there were things about their relationship that I mentioned to her that he had told me, and she told me a totally different story.
Yeah.
And her story was more believable, if that makes sense. Like when I listened to her, I was like, that makes sense. That makes sense. But when you're in love and, whatever, you don't like, you don't see the like holes in the story necessarily. Like you like, this don't necessarily feel right, but he told me this and he loves me, so why would he lie? But talking to her, I was like, oh, so that, okay. I was able to put the people.
You're like, that makes total and complete sense.
Wait, can you give us some dirty details? Sorry for your podcast. You don't have to.
Dirty? What kind of dirty details do you want?
Well, what are two alternate realities of a situation
that he would lie
about? And you found out, actually, this sounds like more of the believable story. Only if you're comfortable. But hey, it's a podcast. Let's get those followers up, baby.
Yeah, so he, at one point, made it seem like she was just mean and rude and irresponsible, and like he was just, the doting dad that was doing everything for their children, and she was just, living her life without any care in the world. And that was in fact not true. There was a period of time that she shared with me where she was grieving because she had experienced like a major loss. And so she was not her best self. She was not as present as she wanted to be, but that was because of the situation. It wasn't like she was just this like party girl that just had babies and left them at home with dad. That was not the case at all. And she also mentioned like he had some habits that weren't necessarily healthy, but he never went into detail about how those habits impacted his relationship or his family, right? Like he shared like, oh yeah, I used to do blah, blah, blah. But you never shared that, like,
You got details, Rhonda. What was he doing?
He had a gambling problem, was spending up the lady's money.
There we go.
Her, like, all of that shit.
Him. I had a problem. I would gamble a little.
Making it seem like
thousands of dollars, you fucking dick.
Yeah, and making it seem like everything was on her when that wasn't the case. Like, she was working, she was doing all of the things that she needed to do. And then when she decided to move on, he made it seem like she was just disrespectful and she was just, having all these men around and all of this stuff. And when I talked to her, she was like, warnings. Say that again?
She was fed up and she gave him many warnings.
Correct. And so when she moved on, he made it seem like she had just abandoned him. And it's like, no, you had done me. I finally, similar to me, finally got to the place to where I was like, I don't have to deal with this, nor do I want to deal with this anymore. Let's move the fuck on. And
you know what he's telling his current girlfriend now? That you abandoned him.
Oh, I'm certain. I'm certain he is saying
when
that.
Things got hard, she left me high and dry. It's
high and dry. And he would say that to me. Lord have mercy. So glad that it is over. All right. Y'all ready to move on?
Yeah. We are ready.
All right. So the next segment is called A No or a Go.
If you think I'm here to play around with y'all, God damn it, I'm not.
So I'm going to read a scenario to you guys. I want you to listen, and then you're going to give me your opinion, and you're going to tell me okay, this is a no, I'm not cool with this, or this is a go. I could get down with this. Okay?
Okay.
You are in a committed relationship with the perfect person. They check all the boxes on your list, and you hear wedding bells in the very near future. The only issue you've had in your relationship is that your partner wants you to quit your job. You are an exotic dancer, and frankly, you love what you do, and you are good at it. Your income is comparable to that of your partner's, and you make your own schedule in order to be available for quality time with them. You have only ever done jobs in this line of work, so quitting could mean starting over for you. Your partner has been pressuring you to quit and has expressed feeling uncomfortable moving to the next level of the relationship with you, shaking your ass for the world to see. Do you quit for love, or do you keep getting your bag?
Oh, that's a no. That's a no.
No.
Fuck that. If your partner is telling you to quit exotic dancing, that person means that they have zero respect for sex workers. They have zero respect for that's a huge part of your identity. That person wants to fucking control you.
I hate this. And
I'm so angry. I have to go get more drink.
Not too much, please. Well, more often than not, it is men dangling the wedding ring carrot in front of women's face. It's like, you check every box. If only you did this thing like a wholesome woman. Yeah. And it's really strange to me because it was like, if I could check the box for you to date me and I still did this job, when you probably met me at the strip club.
Yep.
You wined and dined me and courted me. I never need your money. I don't ask you for anything. I got my own. And if I quit my job also, you will be able to potentially financially abuse the situation because I don't have another stream of income. If this is all I know how to do and do well. So I can never, I don't think I do well with ultimatums anyway. And I apologize if I've ever given you an ultimatum. I feel like we try our very best to be like, hey, I really want to move to LA for my dreams. Yeah. And that doesn't mean you don't get to, there's not something out there you can do, anything I've ever brought to you. But I ain't no way I would stop clapping them cheeks and making my coin because he's our Muslim. If you just do it, I'll marry you. Especially if we make the same amount. No, you got to be making double, triple, quadruple what I'm making. And I would have to make you almost sign, if it really just came down to it and you're like, baby, I just don't want you working. I don't want you on your feet. I want us to have a baby and get pregnant. And once you're pregnant, you physically might not be able to drop down a pole.
Right.
At 8 months or something.
Correct.
So if it were for different reasons and the money was better hell yeah, I will sign a paper where you give me an allowance or you put me up or something. I have a separate bank account from you that you put money into. That way, if anything ever happened, I'm not signing a prenup. Like, I would be good.
So, but
it would have to be
the motivation is that this individual does not want this person to work because
the image
is stripped. It's stripping, right? It's exotic dancing. That's the reason. I mean, maybe it could have been any job. Being like, yo, I make enough money. You don't have to work. You can if you want to. But that's just fucking weird. Like
in this economy, whatever's bringing $1 in this house is valid.
I totally agree. It's definitely a no for me. I am not one to have ultimatums about anything, like nothing. I love to be able to take care of myself, do things. I don't like to have to ask people for anything. Certainly not a spouse. Like, oh, can I get $25? It's Mother's Day. What? Like, what? No. Can I get $50? You know, my nephew's birthday is coming. Absolutely not.
Oh gosh.
I have my own.
I love my favorite Rhonda is like when you're like pissed off about something, you just go like full soprano, and I'm obsessed with it. You'll be like, "What do you mean?" Like it's so funny to me.
I mean, it takes me there. Obviously, it takes me to that like, what's that? An E flat? I don't know what it is, but it takes me up there.
Yeah. What? Yes.
Yeah, I could never. I don't think that, to Ben's point, it's okay for people to like use pieces of your identity to try to control you, right? Like if she is saying, this is who I am, I'm really good at this, and I'm making what you make doing something that I love, and I still consider you. Right? I'm making my own schedule so that I can be with you. I can spend time with you. You're not lacking in anything, not financially, not with quality time, not with nothing. And chances are I'm keeping my body up too, because I got to go up and down this pole every night, or at least Saturday and Sunday. So what's the problem? But to Ben's point, I think people in roundabout ways try to control others. And like you said, Amber, like that whole dangling of the wedding ring. And especially like the older that we get, I'm a single woman for now, maybe not after tonight, who knows? But that whole dangling of the wedding ring, I feel like is like borderline abuse almost. Like this is not okay. Like you're trying to do something to coerce me or to convince me to do what you want me to do. And I don't think that's cool. So,
I mean, I think that's a great way of putting it, because actually the tradition of marriage is actually grounded in slavery, right? The tradition of marriage is it was a contract, right?
We know all about slavery, Ben. I like, listen.
Biblical slavery I know quite a bit about. This is my bread and butter, but you were selling, the father was selling
his daughter
to receive a dowry, and we have these leftovers, right? Why does the dad walk the bride to the altar? Because the tradition is
Rhonda.
The father owns the daughter, because women had no rights up until 1970s in the United States. Women could not own credit cards. And so we have this tradition because it is grounded in slavery and misogyny and oppression. And so that dangling of marriage is sort of a leftover of
I'm
that.
going to give you 10 seconds. Oh, you rapped before that. That's good. Thank you, Ben.
Thank you
for our listening. Thank you, Ben.
So it's unanimous. It is a no. Honey, get your bag. Fuck niggas, get money. Period.
City girls.
All right. So the last segment, this is a new segment for season 2. It's called Bald Headed Hoe Shit.
Yeah, I got a babe, but I left the nigga at home. Hey, drop one, what we doing? Y'all talking about short classes. Yeah. Drop one, the producer. Bald head hoe shit. Get it, bitch. Bald head hoe shit.
I just want you and how fitting. I wanted you and Ben to just talk about your relationship. You don't have to take us all the way back to the very beginning, but I specifically want to know, because you guys are both social media influencers and you are an interracial couple, like, how does that impact your work, right? Because social media and content creation is your job now. Does that impact your work? How does that, the outside or the comments, the things that people have to say, like, does that impact your marriage and how you guys go about your day-to-day?
I would say that because we've been dating so long, we are very secure about who we are and all of our differences, even past racially, right? Like, Ben's a Northerner, I'm a Southerner. Ben's a big nerd, and I really like to be like a social butterfly. Like, a day party is my ideal setting to be in. When I'm not pregnant, of course.
Okay.
Go ahead. I listen, he talks, you know what I'm saying? So we have a lot of differences that we have. And I feel like on days where we are locked in, where we are A1, there is nothing that can be said on social media about us, from violently racist comments to, like, I feel like what we get more than racism, only because we've been on the internet for so long, what we get more than racism is a lot of Ben is now kind of facing the heat of, like, being called a beta male because like I work and he doesn't. He's the stay-at-home dad who cooks all the meals.
So
there's a lot of
opened the jar or something the other day. I saw that.
Yes, the other day he posted this video where I can't even dive into that comment section.
People are awful.
I just sometimes know when a video, I was like, this video is like slightly funny. And then I look up and I was like, why does this video have 500K views? I was like, you know what?
500,000.
I don't want to know.
And I only have like 30,000 followers. Amber has like 300,000 followers, over 300,000. Yeah. And so I was like, I made this video and she was not a collaborator. I'm like, why is this getting such traction?
And you already know. And so that's when you're like, I can't look at this right now. Right. And then on days where we're in a bad place and I have some time to go look at the internet, that's when I'm not doing well. I love being a writer and I love being a comedian. So sometimes I really think in my head, like, I must have miswrote this joke or misedited this video. And that is why people are not understanding what I was trying to do here. And Ben has to always explain to me, like, they're fucking stupid. That's why they didn't understand. You could have made it simpler. You could have done better captions. You could have done a better sound cue. They still always would have had something to say, which is very different from the stage. You know, if people are not laughing because you're on stage, you just got to rework some stuff and restructure some stuff. Whereas the internet is like, somebody is always going to be in the room not laughing because they didn't really technically pay for tickets to the show.
Right. Okay.
And so Ben is way better. Like, I'm still really good at it. Like, almost every social media creator I talk to responds to every comment. And like, all of my creator friends are like, girl, I be all in my comment section. I was like, I could never. Like, you might see me on one or two comments maybe, but for the most part, I'm out of there. But on days where we are not locked in, which is, we're locked in more days than we're not.
Yeah.
When we're not locked in,
remember that.
I be like, man, Ben ain't touched my titty. Let me go see what the internet thinks. And then I'm like, oh. It's like, oh, hell no. Why the hell did I go into the woods? Like, with the peasants? Like, that's what it feels like.
Yeah.
Because I would never jump off the stage as a comedian and be like, so what are we thinking about the show? But something about the internet makes you feel like I can just jump into the audience and then jump out. And it's not like that.
I think, like, talking to the interracial question, I think Amber being a Black woman, she and her mom being a very successful Black woman and her father being a very successful Black man. Like, this man worked for a union for like 40 years, right? Like and your mom has a PhD. Like, these are very successful Black folk, and they've had to be very, very careful how they navigate white spaces. And for me, I grew up in a society that was like an alt-right Christian society, right? I grew up taking classes by actually one of Donald Trump's lawyers, Michael Ferris. I grew up in a homeschool community that was extremely conservative. And I moved away from that. And so my upbringing, I completely reject as a toxic, unhealthy institution. And so I don't give a fuck about what anybody says or thinks, right? Because everything I believed up until I was 20 years old, I found out to be extremely dangerous and destructive. And so I sort of, but I take that like don't give a fuck mentality into a lot of different situations, right? Where maybe there are certain times where you should give a fuck.
And we cannot afford to not give a fuck in most situations.
Right.
So those are the racial nuances that come out more than like, and so, black girl, white guy.
Yeah. And so I'm a little bit more combative because everything I once believed, I've turned out to be harmful and false, right? I reject all that. I went to a Christian college going like very conservative, very white. I wanted to be a missionary at one point in my life. I went to like, pro-life rallies, pro-life rallies. Like I was very, against Roe v. Wade and like all these, like, I thought, gay people should be like, go to conversion camps, like really messed up things. And I don't believe that anymore. I've completely rejected that. And so I think that sort of, and I have the privilege to do that as well. Like I can do that in a way. And, I'm not like, I just don't care. And I think Amber has to like navigate those spaces a little bit more carefully, like obviously a little bit more carefully. And that's where we butt heads because I'll say something unhinged that may be true, but it disrupts the peace. Right.
Yeah. And I'm also thinking about the dance of like Ben, I hear what you're saying. I believe in what you're saying, but I do have to consider like, we're a family brand. We're like, there's a few more irons in the fire. So you can't just go live and say whatever the fuck you want because this brand that we might be working with in a couple of months might be like, isn't that guy that was like completely balls out on the internet? Like, and I'm not saying
metaphorically, not like physically.
Right.
I didn't like have my testicles out.
Even today you walked into, which it would not be posted. Even today you walked into one of my videos like with just your butt out, and you said something like, "Just post it," and I was like, "No." He was like, "Well, just post it with like the blur on it." And I was like, "No, I have to shoot this." Like,
and I think part of me not caring about that has to do with I've rejected my upbringing. So like, who cares? Like, nudity is fine. Like, I believe that.
Right. But
like,
I'm trying to make sure
nudity was like very evil, right? Because of my like very conservative upbringing. And so I pull that into situations that maybe like, hey, maybe people don't want to see my ass. Like I can't imagine who would not want to see my ass, but maybe somebody out there.
Who wouldn't?
Right. Like, but I'm kind of still like, Ben, I gotta I'm trying to secure this Target deal over here. You over here cheeks out. You know what I'm saying? Like, and we're not so famous to the point we can do or say whatever. Like, and I know a lot of people are like, that just means you doing whatever for the man. But it's like, most of us have to kind of follow a certain code of ethics at our jobs until we get to be, the Will Smiths where we can slap the shit out of somebody and rightfully so. And your career keeps going or whatever.
No. Will Smith had significant consequences.
Yeah, he did, but he's still going to be in movies. He's still going to be successful. Whereas like if Will Smith was never in another movie ever again,
he would be fine.
It wouldn't be the decision between like his house and his bills. Like, he was just in Bad Boys 4. And they're probably going to make it 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yeah.
Whereas, if Rhonda acted a fool at her job, she would be cut from the roster. Yeah. And so I'm not bending my whim because, I am self-employed and you're an assistant at Amber Wallen Productions, LLC. I'm my own boss, but you do still sometimes have to think about the brand as a whole. Like, am I doing something that makes sense in the Bur I Am universe right now?
The other thing is fashion. I used to be like, everyone should just judge people based on like how they can talk, right? And so I would wear sweatpants every fucking day of my life and just not really dress at all that was appropriately. And Amber taught me, I think rightfully so, that like, no, like physical presentation, what you wear is important. And I think that is something, especially being in LA, like if we go to a premiere of a TV show or of a movie, I need to, as Amber would say, step my pussy up and I need to dress appropriately.
And you can still do, like, you can still have personal style with your lounge wear or whatever. Like, there's elevated skater looks and stuff like that. You don't have to be in a 3-piece suit. But if you're coming with me, you're going to have to look a certain way. And so those are some of the cultural challenges that we've definitely had in our relationship, which sucks because
I submit to your education on that.
I know, but I think with most relationships, it can be really beautiful and really sacred in the four corners of our home. Mm-hmm. And when you get outside, that's when things can be like, this is something I should have maybe told Ben about, or this is something Amber shouldn't be stressed about so much. Like every relationship is like that. You'll be like, I'm doing well with this guy. We're vibing. We've been going on dinner dates for 2 weeks. And I just saw this girl on his page. I'm wondering if when I tell my friends, they'll see this girl too. And what will they like? First, what do I feel about this? Second, what will my friends think about this? It's just like, every relationship can be like that. I don't care what you wear in this house or whatever.
Yeah, I mostly don't wear anything in the house. I don't wear anything.
When we leave the house or when we digitally leave the house and drop something on the gram, I need you to not say something so offensive or crazy that'll turn people off, which of course things have, of course. But I don't need to have to go like crazy on the editing side of this. Like make it easy for me and let's not be a little too egregious with it.
Yeah. I love that you guys, it sounds like you guys balance each other pretty well and that you like work hard to do that, right? Because I don't know that I could date a sci-fi nerd. I'd be like, listen, I don't want to go ever to the sci-fi parties.
Yes.
But I have seen you go to things with Ben or do like the hike, right? Like you did that. I don't know that you would normally do that. I've known you for a number of years. You like yoga and shit like that, but like climbing up somebody's mountain, I just never saw it for my girl. But because
Rhonda, just explain the. I can explain it, or you can just explain the because this is not like a walk in the park. Can you
what the hike?
Yeah.
Oh no, it didn't. And nothing about it looked like a walk in anyone's park.
It was a 9 hour.
Yeah, it was a 9 hour. Yeah,
9 hour, 9 miles up, like 4.5 miles up, 4.5 miles down. This is taking a whole day. I'm sure I came in around 10 hours, and I trained for it.
Yeah, she did.
And I think it's so interesting because I think when we all close our eyes, and for those of us who are like single and dating, like we close our eyes and we see what our future family is going to look like and all the qualities our future person is going to have. And I'm not telling people that their person is packaged in like a white dude sci-fi nerd, but I really think I'm better for opening my mind up to like so many new experiences. Like when I really think about it, it's kind of like when you leave your hometown and you grow up and you're like, I think I'm gonna live here forever. Like, why wouldn't I? All my family's here, all my folks are here. And then one day you go to Texas and you're like, I like it down here. Like I maybe I should push myself to be where there are different people. And then that might push you to move. And then that might push you to wear something new. And then that might push you to go like, I never learned how to swim. Maybe I should learn how to swim. And so I think I'm with somebody like, not because he's white, but Ben really pushes. I have been pushed in every way. And I'm sure I've pushed you in many ways too. Like, I think you had 12 followers when I met you. And now I'm kind of like, be in this video with me, do something funny with me. You have definitely pushed me to my physical limits. To my, like, even with the fashion now, like, even now, like, growing up, I would have never stepped out with no man that was complaining about having to dress up. Now I'm kind of like, you know what? Wear what the fuck you want. Because the reality is, unless we standing next to each other, people don't know we were together. People don't know we came here together. People actually get genuinely confused when I talk to you out in person.
Yeah,
if I go inside a Starbucks and then Ben goes to park the car and then he comes and starts talking to me, everybody's like, "Why is this white dude cutting the line? Like, what's going on?"
I've never told Amber this story. So we actually have a friend who, when they first met me, I was like, "Oh yeah," like he was like. It's like, why are you here? I showed up to one of your yoga events out by the lake in Chicago.
Oh, that's so funny.
Very, very. He's like, oh, like, are you doing the yoga? And he's like, oh no, I'm married to Amber. He's like, oh, Amber's so pro-black. I didn't think she would have married a white man.
I get that a lot.
Yeah. That was like this. I'll tell you who it is after this call. But
Excellent.
like he was like straight up with me. I was like.
I'm glad he did. I'm glad he didn't censor it.
Like he was, So like Amber's so pro-black that the fact that she would date me, it was sort of like surprising, and like
fair.
And that's sort of a trend. And I think that's like deals with some of that misogynoir. Like I date a black woman, I'm seen as like aware and like woke or like in a good way. Mm-hmm. And where a black woman dates a white man, like you must hate.
Yeah, you're like,
men,
wah, wah, wah.
Yeah. And so that's some of that.
People be like, got another one.
Yeah. And I think that deals with like the misogyny of our society. But at the same time, you're like, you can still, for Amber, she can still do that and believe all that. Like, we're like,
yeah. I mean, I think we're all at a point where we're all like, whether it's like. We're all at a point where like, go where the fuck the love is. I think everybody is there. Like, you grew up with somebody who dated men their whole life and now they're married to a woman because they were like, I had to go where the love was. I had to. Or, you just get to that point. And I'm not saying that your dream man out there, you could have a white too. You could have it all. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying, I think there was one day where I was just like, I have swiped out of black matches. On this app, I don't know what to do. I go out. Yeah, that happens all the time because you can like select sort of like,
and then you just like get repeats.
Yeah. Or sometimes back in I haven't been on Tinder in like many years, but like
you just get to repeats, and sometimes it's like we're out of matches.
They do not exist. They're not on the app or whatever. And I'm not trying to say like, I just gave up on black men. Like if we were to ever break up, I would definitely date black men again and black women. But I just like, I was like, you know what? There's no way in hell I'm not going to be loved anymore because like, it's hard. The dating pool is just different. And it's just getting shallow and smaller for a number of reasons. I'm not blaming black men ever for that, but just like sometimes you're like, I'm right here, I'm right now, and this white guy just told me he thinks I'm beautiful and he would love to see me again tomorrow. So like, let's see where it goes. Shit, I don't fucking know.
Tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow.
Right.
And I think for me, even the person that I mentioned that we've talked about, that I'll send y'all some pictures of him, some pictures of us.
Please.
Very cute. He's not someone who I would normally date. Like he's very attractive to me. He is black, very attractive to me. But there are like physical attributes and like some parts of his like personality. I'm like, I don't know that I would ever like pick you in a crowd. But just talking to him and getting to know him and spending time with him, he has been so consistent. He's so kind to me.
That's vibing,
Yeah, he's so like, I literally had to tell him the other day, like, I just really appreciate you. And again, it's been like 60 days, y'all. Like, very, very new. But like my lights were out the other day. I don't know, something happened in the neighborhood. All of the lights everywhere were out. And I had my nephews with me, like I talked to you about, and I was just like, ugh, like trying to get kids in the house. I can't see anything. I can use the flashlight on my phone, but that's like trying to hold a phone, trying to hold toddlers, like it's not going to work. And he was like, oh, there's a Target near you that has these Energizer lanterns, like just go pick them up. And I'm like, what? Like, go. He's like, yeah, like this particular store has these. Like, do you have batteries at home? I just bought a ton of AAA batteries. because kids have toys and just but yeah, it was like very seamless. Like, yeah, just go pick them up, and it was just like whatever I needed was right there. And outside of like my close friends, no man has done that for me before.
Right.
And so part of me is like, I want to make sure that I am not like being just impressed with things, but also like being appreciative of the gestures, because he didn't have to do that. And he's like, you got these kids, like you need some light, like I got it, just go pick it up. Yeah. And it just made life so much easier. I didn't have to take all the kids into the store, any of that stuff. It was like, hey, it's right there. It'll be there. So
I mean, you just gotta like, if you see like good heart and good energy in a person, I think you should just go for it and be with them, because I think we're so wrapped up in like, he gotta be taller than me. He gotta have this kind of job. And sometimes your king is 5'2" and he's a garbage man. Yep. And it's just, or like I said, or it might be a woman, or it might be like, we used to just have all these rules for ourselves. Like, I'll never date a man with kids. I want a man who's never been married before. It's like, okay, well, you can have all these rules, but people aren't like that. People are just fully who they are. And he might have kids. He might be short. He might be a white dude. If somebody's being kind to me, like I'm going to go where the kindness and the love is.
But like the worst of those things is like him being a white dude. Let's just be clear.
He could be toothless. Oh, he could be white. Or worse, white. He could be so white. He could be on drugs, or he could just be white. Crazy. Which is crazy.
He could be missing an ear.
But white.
White is crazy. But I mean, I don't know. I'm also the person, I think my whole family laughs because they're like, we knew you would probably end up with a white dude. Like, you like sushi. I'm just like, what? Like, if I like anything that's not like a collard green.
That's like Japanese.
Right, but they're getting at like,
you shouldn't.
Well, when you were a kid, you wanted to live in New York and be on stage, and you wanted to do all these different things. So of course,
she was going to end up with a woman or a white dude. Like, it was one or the other.
Probably. Like I said, I've only dated black men in the past, but even the black men that I've dated have been kind of alt. To be honest with you, like they've been like my high school boyfriend. I'm pretty sure he has a boyfriend now. Like I've kind of always been with somebody who's not going to be like like a straight hyper mask like dude. Like I just like, I feel like if I close my eyes and think about like my dream guy, it would be like an Andre 3000 or like a Prince. Okay. Like I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Like it wouldn't be a football player or something like that.
Okay. Well, this has been so much fun. I am so happy that I got to have you guys on my podcast. This is my baby. So I'm just happy to have friends here. Like, I know y'all are like celebrities, but y'all are my friends. And I really, really appreciate you guys being here on this show. Do you have anything coming up that you want people to come to? Tell us about the Patreon. Where can people find you on social media?
All right. So one thing that everyone should go do is they should go follow The Moth. It is a short story telling our Amber hosts many shows. This past year, she hosted about 12?
About 10.
Yeah, about 10. And so she will be hosting shows this coming year. They fly her to Hawaii, fly her to Chicago. So she does a lot of that. But just follow NPR and The Moth. They're absolutely fantastic. Follow Amber at Burr I Am. She's super funny. She's one of my favorite comedians. She's working on our special. She's been workshopping a lot. So look for that in the coming months. But follow her on social media, Facebook, Amber Wallen, TikTok, Burr I Am. Follow her on Instagram, Burr I Am. Follow her on YouTube. It's Amber Wallen. It's very fun. It's very uplifting, very positive content. And I know like we're going to need that this coming, 4 years. So absolutely follow her.
Thanks, babe. And Ben has a race coming up. Ben is a runner. He's basically a professional runner at this point. So he just ran the Philly Marathon, and he will be running the LA Marathon in March, right, baby?
Yes.
And he's currently raising money for neurology research for people with dementia and things like that. Yes. And he's already hit his goal. So now we're setting new higher hitting goals for that. So you can follow Ben at Benfluencer. Please spell Ben with a Y. Because the internet made fun of how I yell his name, Ben. So they spell it BEYN. If you just want to just keep up with some love and some cuddles, we have a baby due in May. So if you just want to stay tuned and watch me get more pregnant and more frustrated, just keep up with the page. And we have a baby coming in May.
Well, thank you guys so much for being here. As you know, you can follow me on Instagram at Rhonda on the Rocks Podcast, on TikTok at Rhonda on the Rocks, and of course, listen to these episodes, like, subscribe, share. I love you guys. Thank you so much for being here.